Yeah, we like to count down from 6 just to build the drama, Spanky.
Okay.
A lot of people go from 3. Occasionally you'll hear 5, but Chuck likes to start with the number 6. We don't know why.
It's an even number, which is good. 3's an odd number, and I don't like odd things. So
you look terrific. It's nice to see you again.
Wonderful to see you, Mike. Really good to see you.
How's business? Are you still doing what you've always done?
Yeah, same thing, different day.
So there are like a gajillion things we can talk about, but
Sure.
I know Chuck told you that I was angry the first time I watched this documentary, Going Clear. I was also inspired. I thought it was just incredibly brave, and I wrote something on Facebook Easter about 7 years ago. And people still ask me about that post, and they still ask me what's new in the world of Scientology. It really reached a lot of people. I just watched the movie again, and that's why I called Chuck. I said, look, I want to talk to Spanky. I want to talk about this movie, and I just think it's important for people to understand why the movie was made, why you agreed to be in it, because something's got to be done, hun. These guys are still in business, and for the life of me, it just chaps my ass to no end.
They still have tax-exempt status, so
That's
we're
the
all
worst.
paying for them to exist and to do the nasty things they do to their former members, and they get away with it completely because they're a church, or so they call themselves.
But the thing that interests me most about your story and everybody who was in this documentary is the frog in the boiling water. It's
Yeah,
the
truly.
way it creeps up on us.
So insidious.
I would love for you just to give us the sort of the short version, if such a thing exists, about how they got you, how they kept you, and how you got out.
Well, I was very young when I got interested because it was friends who introduced me to it, friends who I had great regard for. They got involved. I was really young, 13, 14 years old. The peer pressure got to me, I think, and they sold me this bill of goods. Of course, they were duped as well as I was, and which they've since then, most of them have departed the group as well, which I'm so grateful for. I just followed them in and bought into it completely and trusted. At the beginning, you question everything and you go, well, this doesn't make any sense. But in very short order, something called thought-stopping techniques come into play, where you start to question, you go, this is messed up. Oh no, I must have counterintention. Oh, I must be connected to somebody that's bad, who's against me getting better, which is called
A
suppressive
suppressive person,
yes,
perhaps?
yeah, or a potential trouble source. So there's always a reason. So you assign all your doubts to something else, and then you just shut those thoughts off. You just stop thinking, and they're called thought-stopping techniques, which the organization is really good at using, and I did that for years.
What were they selling that you found appealing?
Well,
What was the
I
promise?
wasn't in it because I wanted my own gain. I wanted to help people. I mean, I was a child of the 60s for the most part. I mean, so, I was tuned in, turn on, dropout era. People's Park was happening in Berkeley, and I just wanted to help people so much. And, I was active trying to stop the war and all that stuff that I think in large part we did. I mean, I think that public discontent on a mass scale all over the country at the same time made a big difference. But I really want to make a huge difference. And I felt when these guys said, look, we can do it, but we have to help people one by one. We have to clear the planet. We have to help each individual go clear and get rid of their reactive mind, which is this thing that they claim exists, which, by the way, does not. And you later find out, even in Scientology, it doesn't exist. So it's just ridiculousness.
When you look at the documentary and you talk to people, and just kind of skipping ahead, you learn about Xenu and you learn about Thetans, and it's just comic book stuff. And no one in their right mind would look at that and go, oh, okay, that tracks. But to my earlier
tell you
point,
at the beginning, Mike. They say, oh, this is going to help you so much get along better with your girlfriend, your wife, your parents. This will help you in the workplace. We're just going to teach you to communicate. So you're not buying into all that. Nobody, I don't think, in their right mind would go, oh, okay, Xenu, okay, sign me up. Nobody does that. But Hubbard, in time, the whole process creates such credibility for him that soon you don't question anything.
how much money do you reckon you paid over the years
I
in the
didn't
course of
pay.
being audited?
I was a slave. I signed a billion-year contract, as you might recall. And from the time I was very young, I worked for nothing, for slave wages. But I sometimes really, in all fairness, I got as much as $15 a week. And, that's 18, 20 hours a day.
And what were you doing?
Well, I was doing whatever they told me to do. Sometimes I was doing promotion for events. Sometimes I was doing, when I was in the slave labor camps, I was putting up drywall and working physical labor. But mostly I was just doing organizational stuff and recruiting people and keeping them happy and involved. And you remember from the film, I was John Travolta's, quote, handler for many years.
Why? What was your relationship with John prior to that?
I met him in the organization. At the time, I worked for this woman, Yvonne, and I was her public relations officer. She was a representative for Hubbard and the head of Celebrity Center. So my job was to make sure he was happy and got what he needed and made sure that he stayed pleased.
I mean, the power of celebrity for an organization like that is huge.
Honey, it's their endorsement arm, whether it's Gucci or wherever they have a spokesperson and a celebrity endorsement. These people, you just recruit these people and then they become your endorsement arm.
I remember an interview with Travolta where he started going to Scientology and that guy booked everything he touched. And you're right. That's about the best PR you can get for an actor to tell other actors that I was struggling. Then I went here, started getting audited, and now I'm in commercials. Now I'm in sitcoms. The guy was on fire.
Except, Mike, the truth of them, in my humble opinion, John Travolta was always incredible. And he was booking stuff before he came along. That's what our reaction, our attraction to him was. He had it. He really had the it factor. And he was booking whatever he went for, he booked. Band-Aids commercial. This is before Scientology. Everything he went up for, he booked. And then he got in Scientology and then he books a TV series. Well, hello. He probably would have anyway, because he just was that good at what he did. And he was funny and he was kind and charismatic and wonderful at what he did and had this magic that he came in with. So to attribute all that to the organization, that's giving them all a power that he already possessed. But unbeknownst to him, he didn't realize he had it already. I wonder if he even believed in himself at that time. But it was pretty obvious he was pretty magnificent.
You guys became close. He was at your wedding, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
And he cared for you, and you cared for him.
Very much.
But
Well,
he must have known you're basically part of the cheapest workforce since slavery, and you are living in conditions that aren't great.
I don't think they think about that. I don't think they really look at that. I don't think he ever came to see where we lived. I don't recall him ever coming there. We lived in pretty squalorly situation back then. I think the situation has changed considerably because now they make more money too. They make like $50 a week versus $15 a week or something like that. I don't know what they make now.
Explain what Sea Org is, if you would.
The Sea organization is the most fraternal part of the organization, and it's where they claim the most dedicated members are. I consider the most brainwashed members are, other than the public who are paying money for this. You sign a billion-year contract. You agree to do any job at any time, whether you're trained or untrained. You have to do it because Hubbard claimed you've done everything in your existence of the trillions of years of your existence. So, okay, I want you to do brain surgery now. Well, you better just remember how you did it before. Or, I'm exaggerating there, but it's kind of almost that outrageous.
But you're not exaggerating about the billion years. It literally says.
It literally is a billion years.
Billion years.
Yes, and I broke my contract. So
is only by about 999,999,000.
Yeah, nobody likes a quitter.
And it's a blessing that I did, because otherwise I wouldn't have a life. My children would have had life. But it was my children who saved my life there, honey. Because, Mike, I couldn't keep them there. I couldn't do it. It was too awful. And I had, I worried about my kids, and so my daughter, I kidnapped her and escaped out. I was pregnant with my son, I was in the prison camps when I was pregnant, so he was born quite ill. He was full term and under 3 pounds. And I just had not gotten out. I don't know what would have come of anything. I just can't imagine.